Hello. Can everybody hear me? Hear me at the back? Give me a wave. Yeah, I got a wave. Hello, everybody. If you think that I look like I just flew in from East London, I did. You'd be quite right. My name is Kirsty Stiles. This is my very first day working as a reporter at TheNextWeb. So I thought I'd give myself an easy first task by coming to Slush to chair this brilliant panel. My new boss, Patrick, is here as well. So if you're going to tweet today, can you please make sure that you at least make me sound smart or funny, if you can. We've got three great panelists, Johan, Itamar, and Markus, you've just heard from two of them. So I'm just going to get them to quickly introduce themselves before we get on with the question, how do you build an edtech startup? Johan.
Yeah, I'm Johan. I am the co-founder and CEO of Kahoot. We are a game-based learning platform, about 20 million active players in classrooms around the world every month.
Wonderful, thank you.
I'm Itamar, co-founder at Peak. We launched 13 months ago, a few million users, and based in London.
I'm Markus, CEO and one of the founders of Babbel. We're based in Berlin and New York with 350 people.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So you've not heard from Johan yet, so I'm going to start with you, Johan. What you guys are doing is harnessing the power of the devices that children already own inside the classroom. Is that easy to sell into teachers who often want the phones to be left outside?
If you put it that way, yes. If you tell them that you're going to captivate the engagement and the power of kind of attention, then yes, it's easier. So yeah, we don't focus on device, even though we're harnessing the power of the device.
Okay. And you've also talked about a metric called return on learning. Do you think we have the metrics that we need in order to measure the success of technology within education settings?
No. I think the biggest problem is actually we're measuring the wrong things. So our focus on return on learning is to actually try and define what learning yields of results in this society. And at the moment, we're looking at the wrong things. OK.
And so if I move on to you, Itamar, you call what you do a workout for the brain. Do you think the public is sold on the idea, the concept of kind of lifelong learning and health of their brain?
So our few million users would say yes. Actually, I think more and more we are rising in that pyramid of needs, and people are much more focused on their mind, whether it's mindfulness or cognitive training. And people take more and more education or lifelong learning into their own hands, straight to the App Store, straight with apps. I think that's a trend we see more and more.
OK. And Markus, you're actually running, well, you've done your Series C round, running an incredibly successful startup that was founded in 2007. It's a subscription-based model. Is this the best way to make money in edtech? And did you change your strategy along the way?
Both, yes. We started out with a free product that turned into a freemium product. So we had a free language learning app, and you could buy additional courses. We wanted to do traffic monetization, so ads on that. And the problem was that the freemium model didn't really work out because you can only market the delta between the free and the premium thing, and you don't. The point of commitment comes too late for the user. So and you start with a not complete product and get some frustration from that. And are not higher motivated later on. So to start something, you need a commitment, I think. And to sell ads is a problem because you're usually loyal to who pays you, and we wanted to be loyal to the learner, and that is this alignment that got us the trust of the consumers and of our learners, and that helped a lot for us. So I do think that being paid by those who actually learn and not by a third party, whoever that is great. And an ongoing subscription in education is helpful because you're incentivized to keep people on the platform, which is usually what their goal is as well.
OK. And do any of you think there's a kind of contradiction between the goal of making money and the kind of not-for-profit kind of exercise of educating young people?
No, I actually think education is, it's an extremely profitable area if we do it well, and I think there's no contradiction. I think people just need to get it right. I think a student in a classroom isn't going to be the guy who's going to pay you, even though you're going to be loyal to them. So it's also understanding that education is a massive space, and there's going to be different models for different spaces. So for us, is we want to be loyal to the learner where we're seeding the beginning of our platform, but we think the monetization is going to sit somewhere else, which is not with actual the student.
Okay.
Well, I come from a world in Belgium where even engineering school is free. But I think what we are doing, bringing education to mobile, to a very large population at a very, very accessible price point, is actually a good thing and is compatible with building a profitable company.
And have any of you had to work with governments? You've got different education systems across the world. Is that an easy strategy for a startup to go in with? Markus?
We didn't have to, and I'm happy about that. It's the longest sales cycle in the world.
I think I actually pissed off the Norwegian foreign minister by telling him on stage that the purpose of my business was to avoid bureaucracy in his institution.
Ouch. You've all got funding in one way or another. You guys have done quite a lot of grants as well as bits of angel funding. We've got $2 million here, $10 million there, $22 million over there. How easy is it to get funding for your edtech startups?
So as usual, if you don't need it, it's easy to get it. If you really need funding, it's very, very hard to get it. And that's true in the education space as well as in all the other spaces.
Well, and this is the point of my earlier comment, is actually the ones who have actually been extremely supportive of us is the government. So we are getting research grants. The government is actually, which is sitting outside seeing the need of it, are actually doing it. So it's a contradiction.
And I know, Markus, you said that you had to be a bit picky about the kind of investors that you were getting. You didn't go for the kind of high-value exit Silicon Valley-style VCs. Is that important, kind of given the mission that your kind of company has?
For us, it's central because we are not aiming for the quick flip. We are building something that should have substance for a long time, and it shouldn't be the exit that drives us in the moment. Of course, we're a commercial company, but we are in for the long term, and we want to build something that lasts and makes sense. And for that, you need a certain type of investor.
Okay, so
Yeah, I was going to say, for us, it's so important to have companies like you guys who are doing it in front of us, because we're on exactly the same mission, we're following the same story, and we need to point at other people and say, look, we're doing the same thing, that's what we want to do.
Wonderful. Oh, good success story. So, Johan, if I come back to you, Kahoot was actually co-created with your behavior design agency, We Are Human. And you've already alluded to the fact that there might be some kind of issues between creating this as a government or creating it as a company. Do you think that companies creating kind of education services is the future of learning?
I think the benefit you're going to see is when you have different disciplines, people from outside and inside collaborating. The problem is, if you've been in education for 20 years, you probably should look outside and see other things I can learn from, and the same way you outside looking inside. So the benefit of doing our behavioral science company with the university was we're able to harness the power of the outside and inside.
Wonderful. How about you guys? Oh, I didn't hear the question. Never mind. Itamar, so you're a computer science grad. I've been stalking you online. And in London and across Europe, there's a dire shortage of people with skills like yours. Do you think that technology should and could be used to kind of better educate people to come into technology careers?
So obviously, I think technology has a role to do in education. I don't fully agree with a lot of people saying that we should teach coding at age 6 or at age 8. I think a great software engineer is not someone that learned to code at 6. It's someone that can solve problems, that has creativity. And these are fundamental skills that we are already learning at school, that we can learn better, of course. But I think the coding part is almost a detail in that educational process.
Okay. And if I come to you next on international expansion, Johan and Markus from Oslo and Berlin, respectively, you've now both made your way over to the US. You've taken some space in the Capital Factory in Boston, and you've headed straight to NYC. Do you think it's necessary as an edtech startup, to make it in the US?
Necessary? No, but it is a great thing, and I think it's a huge upside. It's a gigantic market, even for language learning, which is not intuitive from a European standpoint. So for us, it's a huge opportunity, and we put quite some effort into it. Do we have to make it? No, market in Europe is still growing very fast, and there's other opportunities as well.
Yeah. Is there a challenge as well with the fragmented kind of nature of Europe compared to the US? You've got a kind of 400 million market versus lots and lots of little ones in Europe.
It's an advantage. If you start in Europe, you're usually international from very early on. We started with 5 languages, in 5 languages. And usually, companies starting in the US address the huge domestic market. So being international is kind of native for Europeans, at least on the continent, sorry. And
Was that a dig? Je parle un peu français.
that is an advantage, I think.
Wonderful. How about you, Johan?
Yeah, I think it's interesting for us. Yeah, we're based out of Norway and the UK, where we have the user base. But actually, we optimized the product and our initial market fit with the US because we saw the type of behaviors we're designing for, and actually, there's enough trouble in the school system, but enough acceptance for what we're doing. So for us, we had to optimize to go big, and now going big in the US has given us a voice in Europe.
Okay. And is the gaming kind of metric that you guys use, is that universal? Kids all over the world want to beat each other at stuff?
Yeah, and we chose the language which is universal, play. So we don't have to worry about actually what language you speak. We're using the language you were born with, which is actually the language nature gave you to learn, which is what's interesting when you're looking at us. We say learning is everywhere, and education is the institution part of it. So we're not so, and that's actually fun for us, is then we can go everywhere. And Americans really do embrace play at a higher level than, I say, most countries.
Okay. And you guys have got, well, how much science is behind the 2 services that you guys offer? Is it scientifically backed, and is that important for consumers, for investors? Itamar?
So one of the reasons we took 18 months before actually coming to market was that we had to build that science and build that team, which is less straightforward than hiring engineers. And so the approach we took is one, of course, having in-house scientists. So everything relates to existing studies that have been made probably in the last 30 years in neuroscience. But then also the approach we took is to be very open with academia. So we can't do everything ourselves. You can't do 4 years research, scientific research in-house. We work with academia that have great science, but that struggled in the past to bring that science to market. There is so much available there. It's about bringing it now to millions of users. So
this is kind of the very start of unlocking a lot of the research that often gets stuck in kind of academic institutions not doing a great deal.
Yeah.
How about you, Johan?
Yeah, I think actually, I totally agree with you. It was funny, we say we stand on the shoulders of giants, and we've been looking at a lot of research. Actually, one of our founding principles were expressed in the 1700s, and it's kind of been lost and lost and lost, and we're finally able to bring it back in. So for us, it's combining, research with university research, co-founding the business, our commercial research in behavioral design, and then actually looking at stuff that's going on in the 1700s, where we actually had a lot of interesting pedagogies being developed.
And so do you think the future of learning is more collaborative than it has been before? And do you think that academia and government and companies are starting to understand that kind of change?
If you ask me, yeah.
Yeah? I know you used to work at Amazon, obviously quite a, I guess, a big corporate these days. What kind of learnings did you take that were able to help you create the service that you've made?
I think Amazon, I was in the semi-early days, so building new products there. So it was a really good experience to have this philosophy of platform that Amazon always had. And I guess also learning that sleep is not mandatory every day was a good experience.
That's not true, surely. So we've got quite a good representative panel of people from tech hubs from across Europe. What do you think of the kind of startup story as it's been unfolding? Do you think that London's kind of got it, or we're ever going to fight against Silicon Valley, or does it really matter and we should all just get along?
Great products can be built anywhere. If you have a great product, you'll find money. And if you have a great product, you'll get users. So I don't think it matters too much. Yeah.
No, and you shouldn't have a strategy copying someone else. So I think copying Silicon Valley is a bad strategy if you sit in Europe. You should focus on what you're strong at. Yeah. We are really strong at a lot of stuff.
I don't agree. Coming from Berlin, I must say, copying others is a huge business.
What, Rocket Internet? I know.
It's kind of the core of the Berlin scene.
I think inspiration is different to copying. I think people should focus on what they're good at.
Yeah. So, no, you don't truly believe that we should copy, right? I know that's what the Rocket Internet have done, but...
No, I think it's a valid thing to do. It's not what we're doing. Yeah. And that, sometimes I hate that and would love to just copy something that's there.
Okay, wonderful. So can you tell us a little bit about what Oslo is like. I've actually never visited there. As a tech scene, is EdTech kind of leading the way, or?
Yeah, Oslo is actually got the support for doing an EdTech cluster. Norway sees actually one of their benefits now is to build up a strong entrepreneurship around EdTech. Because exactly the thing is, there's a lot of areas where the people are very strong, and EdTech are one of the things Norway can be strong at. So Oslo is behind the rest of the Nordics, but is really catching up quickly. It accelerates fast. So I think in a few years, it's going to be hitting high on EdTech.
Yeah, and how is Berlin and EdTech?
Berlin is still in a way affordable if you want. It's still possible to hire. The main thing for us, the main advantage being there is it's big enough of a city to be international. You can hire people with all mother languages, and you can find people all over the world to move to Berlin. So we hire people from San Francisco, from Norway, from wherever, and they usually are very happy to move to Berlin, and that is a huge asset.
Okay. So we've kind of got three companies at three slightly different stages, given the amounts of funding that you've got. What are the kind of key things that you've learned on building your company? I don't know whether to go from new to old or old to new.
I mean, I know. Start with you.
I'm not calling you old. The company is older.
Thank you.
I won't tell him how old you are.
I hear you. What are the key things? I think the key learning for us was when we almost died as a company in 2009, because we believed in two things that sound so great. That is community and freemium. And that almost wrecked us. And we had to get rid of both great fantasies. Sounds so good. And we pushed it very hard and didn't get there. And learning that what sounds cool is not always working. And sometimes it's the boring, straightforward approach that just works.
Yes, pink boots sounded cool, but now that I'm on stage, I'm not sure. So do you think freemium is out for any type of business?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. For us, it is.
Okay. And how about you? What have you learned?
I think one thing is really about product, and don't underestimate to what level the quality of the product has an impact on retention, on engagement. We talk a lot about MVP, let's do something out, and people think about let's build a prototype quick and dirty. MVP is about simplifying your product, but then what remains there needs to be amazing, to the most amazing quality. And we have seen that. I think we had the first version of Android that was good, but not yet great. And by making that little upgrade in polishing, in level of details, we really changed the engagement and retention of that product. And now it's on par with our iOS product. And the second part is really keep experimenting. We did some A/B testing that we barely believed in, and that changed completely the way people convert or stay in the product. And if I would show you the screen before and after, you just wouldn't believe it. So
right, wow.
don't make assumption that would be wrong. Yeah.
So you can't go out there with something that kind of half works, because people will come back and say, I mean, this doesn't work.
I think especially on mobile, the bar now is really high, and people are very, very sensitive to quality of the product, design, and experience.
Yeah. Johan?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think one thing we realized, of course, students and teachers go home and they use really high-end products and they expect the same when you're launching something now into the classroom. At the same time, you need to be extremely sensitive to that you're actually providing learning value. And balancing those two and making sure that you're early experienced enough to actually bring real learning value. So we didn't launch a product 6 months later than someone wants us to do, because we need to ensure this has learning value. Because it's easy to put a candy in the room and let people play with it. So that balance has been really hard to.
Okie doke. And we've probably got one final question. So I guess I want to know what you're most excited about in the future of learning. You aren't allowed to say yourselves or what you're doing. Is it metrics? Is it artificial intelligence, Markus?
I'm most excited about really a revolution happening in learning that's driven by the users. And I see a lot of problems and businesses that push into institutions. And when I look at history, revolution doesn't come from institutions or from governments. It usually comes from people.
From the streets.
And seeing people pick up things and use that for learning, and that also in schools will be a tremendous thing. When the kids actually use their technology not only for frivolous things, but more for learning, that will be a revolution.
I think today learning is mostly about students picking ingredients. So you pick classes, you pick courses. I want to learn this and this in that way. I think the future is much more about picking an end goal. And with the data and the AI we have, is we will find the optimal path to that end goal, the optimal ingredient, the optimal classes, and how you should learn it. And it might be very different for each individual. So personalization for me is really where I see things going at an individual level.
Okay, and Johan?
Yeah, I think the most exciting thing to see now is people are really having an urge to become good learners. And that happens inside institutions, outside institutions, and actually institutions are actually reacting to that now. They have to provide good learners.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh,
I have sad news. I think we need to
we are up.
give the audience a big round of applause and wrap up this session.
Okie doke. Well, thank you very much, guys, for giving us your perspective on the future of learning. Thank you very much.